Look, it's the flower girl. Gonna feed the county with bouquets.
But Emma Calloway didn't flinch. She'd heard worse since the day her grandfather died, and her father walked out, leaving her 40 acres of debt. The county co-op handed her a contract to plant corn and soy, or lose the farm. Emma tore it up and poured their seed onto the dirt. Instead, she bought 40 acres of sunflower, clover, and buckwheat seed. The old men at the feed store called it a flower joke.
That girl's gonna starve before winter.
Let them laugh. This ground will prove them wrong.
Weeks later, the first sunflower shoots broke through the red dirt.
Still playing with your flowers? Your granddad would be ashamed.
Emma paid for her supplies and left without a word. By the time the sunflowers stood waist high, half the county was betting she'd lose the farm. But Emma kept working, unaware a crisis was already brewing upstream. By the time the sunflowers reached waist high, every farmer on County Road 44 slowed down to stare and shake their heads.
Still wasting your daddy's dirt? Your granddad's probably rolling in his grave.
Ignore him. Just keep working.
In the barn, Emma found an old photograph. Her grandfather, young, standing proudly in a field of sunflowers.
He saw something in these flowers. I do too.
She tucked the photo into her pocket and went back to the field. The sunflowers climbed higher every day.
That old photo won't change nothing. You'll lose this farm by September.
Not if I can help it.
The scorn at the feed store grew colder. No one would sell her seed on credit anymore. But Emma had already planted everything she had. But 40 miles upriver, an alarm was about to sound that no one in the county could ignore. On a Wednesday before dawn, the Weymouth pesticide plant's main tank split open. The toxic cloud drifted east, settling over Pender County like a gray shadow. By noon, every local channel carried the same alert: pollinator populations crashing, crop failure imminent. The next day, dead bees littered the ground along field edges. But when Emma walked her sunflower rows that morning, the air was thick with bees, more than she'd ever seen.
Where are they coming from? And why only here?
3 days after the spill, Frank's corn tassels were bare. Not a single kernel had set. Ray's soy pods stayed flat and empty. Robert's orchard dropped its fruit green and hard.
They called these flowers a joke. Now the whole county is empty.
For 40 acres, the flowers everyone mocked had become the only refuge for life, and no one else had any. As the county's fields browned, Emma pulled on her grandfather's old bee suit and opened the first frame. The comb was heavy with honey.
They called these flowers useless. This gold tells a different story.
At the Saturday market, her stall was the only one with life. Jars sold out in an hour, sunflower seeds at 6 times the going rate. Robert watched from his truck, his own orchard already lost. His face was a mask of disbelief and growing anger.
Funny how your flowers are the only ones living. Some of us think you had something to do with that spill.
Don't take the bait. He's just looking for someone to blame.
You are profiting off our disaster, girl. That don't smell right.
They hate that I am not failing. Let them. The truth will come out.
The rumor spread faster than the chemical cloud. In the feed store, men who'd never spoken to Emma nodded that she must have engineered the spill. She ignored the whispers, but the weight of the accusation pressed into every handshake at market, every glance on the road. The county extension agent, a quiet man with a clipboard, spent an afternoon walking Emma's fields, counting bees. His report was blunt. The pesticide spill had wiped out all native pollinators in the county. Only one ecosystem still functioned: Emma Calloway's 40 acres.
So you are saying the only bees left in the whole county are on that girl's land?
That can't be right. We've been farming here for generations.
Robert stood near the front, his face pale. The same man who'd mocked Emma for weeks now looked like he'd swallowed a stone. Emma watched from the back. She hadn't been invited, but she came anyway.
They're looking at me like I hold the only water in a drought.
The room erupted. Accusations flew, but not at Emma. They were now demanding she save them. Robert said nothing, but the muscle in his jaw jumped. By the time the meeting ended, every farmer in that room understood one thing: they had no choice. Emma Calloway was the only way forward. The next morning, Robert, Frank, and Ray stood at Emma's gate like men waiting to enter a church.
Emma, we need your bees. The whole county's finished without them. Whatever you want, we'll pay.
You mocked my flowers for weeks, called them a joke. Now you are begging at my gate. Why should I help you?
We were fools, girl, but we're desperate. Name your price and we'll pay it.
Before we talk price, I need to understand something.
She opened her grandfather's journal to a page dated 40 years ago, her finger tracing a line.
He wrote about a sunflower rotation plan. It says it was blocked by a neighbor. That was you, wasn't it, Robert?
Robert's face went gray. He opened his mouth, but no sound came.
I am not selling bees until I know the truth. Come back when you are ready to tell it.
The farmers turned and walked back to their empty fields. Emma locked the gate and went inside, the journal heavy in her hand. Late into the night, Emma read her grandfather's cramped handwriting. On a page dated March 1984, a single letter kept repeating, R.
Rare. The same neighbor who called my flowers a joke.
She searched the farmhouse, pulling out old boxes of co-op newsletters and meeting minutes. In a yellowed folder, she found the minutes from a co-op board meeting in 1985. Robert's name was on the attendance list.
He voted against grandfather's sunflower proposal. They all did, but he led the charge.
The reason was scribbled in the margin. Seed sales depend on corn and soy. It was sabotage, plain and simple. Across town, Robert paced his kitchen, voice tight as he argued with Frank on the phone.
She's digging into the past, Frank. If she finds that letter, I am finished.
Emma didn't have the letter yet, but she had enough to know her grandfather's dream was stolen by the same man who'd mocked her.
I'll find it. Whatever he hid, I'll bring it to light.
In the old roll-top desk, her fingers found a false bottom. Inside lay a sealed envelope, yellowed with age, addressed to Robert. She slid out the letter, her hands trembling. The handwriting was her grandfather's, firm and furious. If you block my sunflower plan to protect your seed sales, you will regret it.
So that was it. Robert had stolen my grandfather's dream for profit.
She found Robert at the seed store, alone in the back office, stacking invoices.
I found the letter you've been hiding from. 40 years, Robert. My grandfather warned you.
That means nothing. Anyone can write a letter. It's not proof.
You can tell that to the town meeting. I am giving you one chance to confess there, or I'll read it aloud.
Robert's face drained of blood. He opened his mouth, but no argument came. Emma turned and walked away, the letter folded in her pocket, like a loaded gun. That night, under a moonless sky, Robert crept onto Emma's land, a bee smoker and a can of insecticide in his trembling hands. He knelt beside the first hive, his fingers fumbling to light the smoker and pump the poison into the entrance. But he wasn't alone. Emma had been watching from the sunflower stalks, her phone recording every move.
Drop it? I've got you on video, Robert. This, plus your letter, will put you away for a long time.
The smoker clattered to the dirt. Robert stared at her, his face a mask of pure panic.
Tomorrow night at the town meeting, you'll confess everything. Or I send this video to the sheriff and the letter to the paper.
You'd ruin me, girl. My farm, my reputation. It's all I have.
You ruined my grandfather 40 years ago. Now you'll face the town and tell them why you did it.
Robert's shoulders sagged. He nodded. A broken man with no way out. Emma pocketed the phone, the video safe. By morning, the whole county would know the truth. By dawn, Emma had drafted the terms. Pollinator strips on every leased acre, a ban on monoculture, and a county-wide co-op. She met with the extension agent, who confirmed the leases were solid, but the clock was ticking. At the feed store, Frank and Ray cornered her, their faces tight with worry.
Emma, exposing Robert now could tear this town apart. We need unity, not a war.
He's an old fool, but sinking him won't bring back the bees. Let it lie.
If I go public, I might lose the farmers. If I stay silent, Robert never pays. Grandfather waited 40 years for justice. I can't let it die.
She looked at Frank and Ray, then at the lease papers in her hand.
I won't bury the truth, but I'll give Robert a chance to confess, and I'll give the county a way out.
She walked out, the papers and the letter both clutched tight. Tonight, everything would change. The town hall was packed with every farmer who'd mocked her, their faces grim with the weight of dying fields. Robert took the podium, his voice steadier than it had been in weeks, as he blamed the spill for everything.
The chemical companies did this to us, not our farming. We're all victims of the same disaster.
Emma stood at the back, the letter folded in her hand, her heart pounding, but her face calm. She walked down the center aisle, and the farmers parted, their heads turning, whispers falling silent.
Are we all victims, Robert? Or did you bury my grandfather's sunflower plan decades ago to protect your seed sales?
She unfolded the yellowed paper and read her grandfather's words aloud, her voice clear and cutting. If you block my sunflower plan to protect your seed sales, you will regret it. The room erupted in shouts. Robert's face went white, and he lunged for the side door, but Frank was already there.
No more running, Robert. You owe this town the truth.
Robert stumbled back from the door, chest heaving, the room's anger pressing in like a tide.
All right, I did it. I called your grandfather's plan a gimmick because I was selling corn seed hand over fist. I convinced the co-op board to kill the sunflower rotation. Figured it'd hurt my profits.
A farmer in the front row shot to his feet, shouting, "You cost us all." Others rose, fist raised, voices a roar.
You buried a solution 40 years ago, and now our land is dead because of you.
Robert slumped against the podium, nodding, his shoulders caving. He had nothing left to defend, no lie left to tell. Emma raised a single hand, and the thick, waiting silence fell over the hall like a blade.
Enough. Robert's guilt is settled, but this county still needs bees, and I am still the only one who has them.
Every farmer turned toward her, the anger draining into raw, urgent need. She let the silence stretch, then spoke words that would reshape the county.
Every farm that wants bees must plant 10% of its acres with pollinator flowers, sunflowers, clover, buckwheat. You buy the seed from me at cost.
Murmurs rippled through the hall. Some farmers shook their heads, but none dared raise a voice against her.
Second, you'll form a county-wide co-op that bans monoculture. No more endless corn and soy. The bees need diversity, and so does this county.
The murmurs grew louder, but they were no longer hostile. They were the sounds of men beginning to see a way out.
It's a steep price, but we don't have a choice. I am in.
She's taking over everything. This is a land grab.
Frank stepped forward and placed a firm hand on Robert's shoulder, forcing him back into his seat.
We'll sign tomorrow. You've got my word.
One by one, hands rose across the room. Even Ray gave a slow, deliberate nod. Emma held their eyes, the paper still raised. Nothing was signed yet, but the first real step had been taken. By sunrise, a line of dusty pickups snaked up Emma's gravel road. The men who'd mocked her stood at her gate with contracts, not laughter. Frank signed first, his name bold on the lease. Ray gripped the pen next, jaw tight, then a dozen more. By noon, the last handshake was done. The flower girl was now the county's sole power broker. Then, a worn truck sputtered up. Robert climbed out, cap twisting, head low. He walked past the silent crowd.
Emma, I know I've got no right, but if you give me a chance, I'll do whatever it takes to earn back this county's trust.
He's broken, but grandfather's ghost deserves more than cheap forgiveness. Here is my condition. You'll stand on the county fair stage next month and announce this pollinator plan to every farmer in the region, loud and proud.
Robert's mouth went dry, but he nodded, a puppet with no strings left to pull. She slid the contract across the hood. Robert signed, his script shaky, then turned away. By sunset, the bee leases were sealed. The county's rescue had begun, with Emma Calloway at its helm. Within weeks, white hive boxes dotted every farm, and fresh strips of clover and sunflower seedlings lined the county roads. A news van pulled up to her gate, the reporter already framing her headline, "How a 16-year-old's flowers saved the county."
I just gave the land what it needed. The bees did the rest.
Then the camera turned to Robert, standing off to the side, his cap twisted in his hands.
I was wrong. This girl's plan saved us. We should have listened to her grandfather 40 years ago.
Emma watched from the edge of the field, arms crossed, a flicker of satisfaction on her face.
He's saying the words. Whether he believes them doesn't matter. The county is listening.
The story ran statewide, splashing her face and her sunflowers across every morning show. For the first time in months, a low, steady hum filled the air across Pender County, and in that hum, Emma heard the faint echo of her grandfather's voice. Quiet at last, the following spring, Pender County donned a coat of gold. Sunflower borders lined every road, and the air was thick with bees. Yields broke decade-old records. For the first time, honey and seed sales padded the farmers' pockets alongside corn and soy. The county fair became a celebration of renewal. Under a banner reading "Pollinator Partners," a crowd gathered.
Folks, the person we're about to honor turned our hardest season into our greatest lesson. Emma Calloway.
Emma walked to the podium, receiving a brass plaque engraved with her grandfather's name and the words, "Vision never dies."
40 years ago, my grandfather Edwin drew up this exact plan. Today, we finally planted it. This wasn't just my fight. It was his, and now it's yours. Keep the bees flying.
The applause rolled through the fairgrounds. Even Robert, standing stiffly at the back, brought his palms together.
Grandfather, I hope you can see this. The bees are back.
But as the crowd dispersed, Emma slipped away alone. The quiet conversation she needed wasn't here. She walked the old path to the cemetery alone, carrying her grandfather's journal and a jar of her finest honey. She knelt before the simple stone, tracing the letters of Edwin Calloway's name with her fingertip. She laid the journal and the honey jar beside the headstone, her hands steady.
Thank you, Grandpa. The bees are back. We did it.
A sob caught in her throat, but her smile was the truest it had ever been. The sun melted into the sunflower petals, casting a warm amber glow over the quiet field. A single bee drifted down and landed on the honey jar, its wings still. Emma reached out, and the bee crawled onto her open palm, as if acknowledging a promise kept. She stood there in the fading light, a 16-year-old girl who had listened when no one else would. And in the hum of 10,000 wings, Edwin Calloway's dream finally rested. A year passed, and the county wore its new coat of gold like a promise kept. A new sign stood at the crossroads: Calloway Pollinator Co-op. No one laughed at sunflowers anymore. Children ran through the blooming strips, chasing bees and laughter under the wide sky. Emma, now a young woman with a gentle smile, walked the same rows she'd planted alone. A single bee drifted down and landed on her open hand, as it had a year before.
We did it, Grandpa. The bees are still here.
She lifted her gaze to the sky, where a thin band of clouds stretched like a quiet answer. From horizon to horizon, Pender County bloomed, not just with crops, but with a future no one had seen coming. And at the center of it all, a 16-year-old girl had simply listened when the land spoke, because sometimes the smallest voices carry the biggest truths, and the quiet hum of a bee can change the world. Years later, the Calloway Pollinator Co-op shipped sunflower honey across 3 states, its label bearing a sketch of Edwin Calloway's field. Emma, now a quiet legend, still walked the rows at dawn, checking on hives with the same worn gloves her grandfather had used. The fear of monoculture had been replaced by a patchwork of blooms, and the county's children grew up knowing the names of native bees. Her grandfather's old journal, now displayed in the co-op office, was studied by every farmer who joined. The same men who once mocked the flower girl now posed for pictures beside their own sunflower strips, their caps pulled low over grateful eyes. And, on the anniversary of that first spring, Emma opened her palm under the morning light, and a bee found her once again. She smiled, not in victory, but in the quiet certainty that the land was healing. Pender County had once been a place where flowers were a joke. Now it was where hope bloomed in every row. And in the center of it all, the girl who had listened to the quiet voice of her grandfather had taught a slew Ho County to listen, too, because sometimes the smallest seeds hold the biggest answers, and the hum of a bee is the sound of a promise kept. In time, the Calloway Pollinator Co-op became a model for counties across the Midwest, its fields a living lesson in listening to the land. Emma, into her 20s, still walked every row at dawn, her grandfather's worn gloves a second skin, her face serene. Children who'd once chased bees through the blooms now took their own children to see the hives, telling the story of the flower girl. A mural bloomed on the side of the co-op building, a girl with braided auburn hair, surrounded by sunflowers and bees. The words "Vision never dies" beneath. The quiet hum that had once been a miracle became the steady heartbeat of a county that had learned to believe. Emma still kept a single jar of honey on her grandfather's desk, the old journal open beside it, a candle flickering in the evenings. The letter Robert had once tried to hide was framed beside the journal, a reminder that truth outlasts stubbornness, and the land once choking on a single crop now breathed in gold and clover, each year richer than the last. As the sun set on Pender County, a lone bee landed on a sunflower, wings still, as if to say, "We are here, we are safe, and we are home." For in the end, the smallest hands had planted the biggest change, and the hum of a bee was the sound of a promise kept. Dawn broke soft and gold over the sunflower sea, and Emma walked the old row with her grandfather's gloves. A bee landed on her wrist, as it had every morning for years, and she paused to feel its tiny weight. She remembered the laughter, the doubt, the empty fields, and then the humming that had never stopped. That quiet hum had become the song of a county reborn, a promise kept by a girl who refused to listen to doubt. From her grandfather's frayed journal to the co-op sign at the crossroads, the evidence was everywhere. The smallest seed can change the world. Emma smiled, not for the camera or the crowd, but for the man who had first drawn those sunflowers in chalky soil. The bee lifted from her hand and joined the sea of wings above the flowers, and Emma watched it go, her heart full, because when a promise is kept, it doesn't end. It just becomes a part of the air you breathe and the land you love. And if you ever drive through Pender County, you'll see a girl with braided auburn hair walking among the gold, never alone, forever listened to by the bees, and forever smiling at the sky. And in the quiet mornings that followed, the sunflowers still turned their faces east, waiting for the light Emma always brought. She rarely spoke of the hard years, but the bees remembered, tracing the same paths her grandfather had mapped in ink. Every jar of honey that left the co-op carried a story, a whisper of a girl who planted hope in the red dirt and watched it bloom. The mocking laughter had long faded, replaced by a humble gratitude that stretched from fence to fence. And in the hum of every hive, there was a truth no one could ever mock again. The smallest seeds hold the deepest roots. Emma still walked the fields every dusk, her grandfather's old photograph tucked in her pocket, her heart light. A single bee would always find her, a silent companion that had never left her side since that first blooming spring. She would look up at the sky, the stars beginning to pierce the twilight, and whisper a quiet thank you to the wind. And in that small, sacred moment, the promise felt eternal, a garden of gold grown from a 16-year-old's faith. Forever, the bees would hum. Forever, the sunflowers would turn, and forever Emma Calloway would be the girl who listened.